Hey, this is Doug Coleman, founder of Mexico Mining Center, and we're here today, this 4th of July, with Mr. Brodie Sutherland, CEO of Tocvan Ventures, the Canadian junior gold exploration company with two early-stage exploration projects in Sonora, El Pilar and El Picacho. And Tocvan is listed under TOC on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Brodie, how are you doing today?
Yeah, good, Doug. It's always good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah, you're more than welcome. It was great seeing you up in Toronto a couple of weeks ago at the PDAC. And
For sure. Yeah, it was good to be in front of people again, and good to see a great turnout there as well.
yeah, I thought it was a pretty good turnout. What was your impression of the conference?
Yeah, I think it was great. I wish they would do it in June every year. But I think overall, I think a lot of people were eager to be in front of one another again, and it's just such a great venue to connect with people across all avenues of this industry. And yeah, it was really effective for us, and we came back feeling even more energized to get back to work at Sonora.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you see the enthusiasm for companies working in Mexico?
Yeah, I think it's high. There's a lot of good things going on in Mexico currently, and even though you hear some negative stuff in the news, I think there's a lot of positive going on there. And Mexico, especially Sonora, is just really geared towards mining, and that's why we love it there. It's just such a quality jurisdiction and some big producers there. So we're happy to be part of that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of opportunity here and a lot of ground to be explored.
For sure.
Yeah, well, we've known each other a couple of years now, but I really don't know much about your background, and I was wondering if you could share a little bit of your experience and how you came to be involved with Tocvan.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a geologist by background. I've been in the industry for over 15 years. I was very fortunate early in my career to be able to travel and see different styles of deposits all over the world, mainly in South America. Spent a lot of time there, looking at different epithermal porphyry systems, some skarns. Spent a lot of time in the Amazon as well, Guyana, Suriname, Brazil, looking at orogenic systems there. And then the last few years kind of been focused more in North America, looking at projects in Canada and Alaska. And a few years back, a colleague of mine, Derek Wood, he's an old broker. He lives here in Calgary. We kind of came up with the concept of Tocvan, and really we're looking at a large downturn in the gold market, and we knew there's a lot of opportunity out there for good projects. And so we wanted to create a company that we could then put those products into, and that was Tocvan. And we went public in 2019 in March, and shortly after in September we acquired Pilar. And since then we've been working in Mexico, and we've really fallen in love with Sonora. I think it's such a great jurisdiction, great people there, awesome local technical experience in that region. And with that, we were able to acquire another project, El Picacho. And now we've really sunk our teeth into Sonora, and we're there for the long haul.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme with people I've run into here in Mexico that are working in mining, is that the Canadians, Americans, Australians, they just love it here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked in a lot of different areas, a lot of different countries, and I got to say, Mexico is just a really nice blend of a good environment, good access, good local workforce. The regulations are there in place, but they don't slow you down too much. You're able to permit stuff for drilling and even advancing towards a mine with relative ease. And I think that's quite unique.
Yeah, well, that's great. I want to touch on some of the recent news that you've sent out about Tocvan, where you reported a recent discovery of a new trend of broad, low-grade gold-silver mineralization running parallel to the main zone at Pilar.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a little of the significance of that discovery and what it means for the project?
Yeah, first off, that was the first hole ever drilled into that space, and I think it's a great start for us. And there's definitely indication on surface that there is a trend there that should be evaluated. And we have a drill rig out on site right now, doing just that. So we're excited to see what comes of that. But it's still early when you're looking at it. Finding a new trend. If you look at our main zone, there's quite a few holes in that, and I think if you had any of them that intersected, what we did in that hole, just over 50 meters of 0.3 grams per ton gold, but two zones within that over 0.6. I think it's something you definitely follow up on. So it's exciting. It's over 200 meters east of our main zone. We think there's a good chance that it connects up with things we see on surface even further to the southeast as we move on that trend. And overall, I think it really indicates that there is a bigger system at Pilar, and we're just starting to uncover that. And that's been the focus point of this next stage of drilling, is really looking at those step outs away from our main zone and seeing what we have. And really we want to use that so we can then come back in the fall and further evaluate those targets if we're successful in finding something new.
Okay, how close to the surface are you finding the mineralization?
Yeah, oftentimes it can be just below surface. So, at the main zone, we have it exposed right at surface. Elsewhere on the property, there is surface expressions of mineralization. This hole on this new trend, it was just 6 meters down that we intersected that mineralization. So oftentimes it can just be concealed a little bit by some overburden. But we've been quite fortunate that a lot of the system here has been relatively shallow, and that's been our focus for now. And once we learn more about the deposit itself and want to step out even further, we can also test it vertically, and I think there's a good chance we see something with that as well.
And one of the things you mentioned in a recent press release is that you had a broad zinc anomaly starting from the surface to about 80 meters down. I was wondering how that does that affect your interpretation of mineralization at Pilar?
I think it just adds to it, really. The thing with all the historic work that was completed, so there was over 15,000 meters of historic drilling done at Pilar. We've now done an additional 6,000 meters, and we're adding to that as we go. But that historic work, all that was assayed was gold and silver. So there was really no understanding of what was going on with the base metals or other pathfinder elements that might be associated with an epithermal system. But what we found over the last 2 years of drilling and processing these samples is that there tends to be elevated zinc associated with our mineralization. In most cases, it's not of an economic sense. It's just, we see upwards to 1,000 ppm zinc in some cases. In other areas, we intersected in one hole earlier this year, I think 9 meters at 6% zinc. So that was the first kind of significant zinc hit that we've had. But it is tied with strong gold mineralization. So, I think that elevated zinc, it's becoming a bit of a pathfinder for us. It's telling us where we're close to mineralization. Mm-hmm. And that was the significance of that. And, right above that hole, we had cleared a trench late in 2021, and that intersected mineralization across the entire length of it, 20 meters to 0.6. So, we know that there's mineralization there, and it looks like maybe we just kind of skimmed along something, and it's something that we need to follow up on. So overall, I think we're learning more and more as we go, Doug, and it's really looking at the chemistry of what we see in the area and trying to follow up on that and help guide us in our future programs.
I see. How effective has geophysics been in locating targets?
Yeah, geophysics seems to be lining up well. The resistivity has seemed to be helpful. In 2019, in 2020, we completed an IP survey and then followed that with a CSAMT survey. And, oftentimes we'll look at the resistivity changes, and you do see a correlation with some of the alteration that we have, I think, guided along some of the structures that are hosting mineralization. So it does seem to be a good general guide, I'd say, in terms of pinpoint targeting. That you still need to do a little bit in terms of interpreting the structure and looking at the geochemistry, but yeah, it definitely does work for us.
So that's been a good guide so far then.
Yeah, so far we're happy with it.
That's good. So right now you're currently underway with your phase 3 drilling project. So that's diamond drilling or RC?
Right now we're doing RC, and that's because the holes that we're doing are reconnaissance and quite large step outs. So we want to see what we can intersect from mineralization, and then we'll likely, if we hit something significant, follow that up with some core drilling, so we can get a better look at what we're dealing with. We found from the past core program, which was the only other core program ever completed at Pilar, was in 2010, and unfortunately it wasn't that successful. They had a lot of issues with recovery at that time. We took a bit of a gamble trying core again this year, and but we're very satisfied with it. It's returned some of the best results yet. We went through the main zone, had 117 meters of 1.2 grams per ton gold, another 125 meter step out from that, 108 meters of 0.8, and we know that we're getting consistent recovery with that core. So it was something that we'll definitely continue to use, but right now we'll focus on the RC component.
How many meters of drilling have you done so far?
Yeah, so we started out with the 1,500 meter program back in late 2020. We then did another 3,500 meters later in 2021. We just completed another 1,500 meters. And right now we're drilling 1,500 meters. So collectively, we're working towards 11,000 meters, or sorry, I guess that's 8,000 meters there. And then we'll add to that in the fall and keep drilling, likely doing another 4,500 meters before the end of the year. And, we think by that time we'll be in a good place to see, how far the extent of mineralization is, and what we can do beyond that.
So when can we expect some initial reserves?
Yeah, I think the big thing there, Doug, is for us, we want to make sure we know the extent of this mineralized system before we jump into doing our first resource estimate. So we'll see where we're at the end of this year. I think there's a good chance we'll be in a good place to start that process. If we're still having pretty big hits further out, we might want to focus on a bit more drilling before we go through that step. But I think over the next year here, there's a good chance we put out our first resource estimate, and we're excited to see what we can pull together.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. And I guess following right on the heels of the latest news on exploration success, I see you have you closed the financing for $5.1 million. And could you give us some more details on that and about what it means for Tocvan's projects in Mexico?
Yeah, this was something that we've been looking to do for a while now. We've done extremely well doing modest financings in the past, and utilizing those funds to the best of our ability to make sure that we're getting work done on the ground and advancing these projects. But really, we were on the hunt for a solid anchor investor that saw our growth potential and wanted to be part of that. And we spent our time getting to know this group, and we toured them out on site. And I think really they had a lot of confidence in the group that we have, and which is led by Rodrigo Calles-Montillo. He's our chief geo. He's based in Sonora. He has an excellent team around him. It's been very supportive and really a big part of our success down there. And, I think we walked away just feeling that this was a great fit for us. This financing will keep us going for at least 2 years in terms of how we develop both of these projects. And, we'll allocate most of the funds to advance Pilar and move that further down the road here towards potential bulk test mining in the future.
Okay.
And, at the same time, looking at Picacho, we think there's a lot of potential there. A lot of the targets have never been drilled or have seen very few reconnaissance drill holes on them. And, we think there's a lot of potential to find more. So we'll be doing leading up to a drill program at Picacho, but before the end of the year as well. And looking forward to the future here. And it's just nice to know that we have a bit of security now. And in order to get it done during a tough market, I think it really is a testament to the team that we have and the path forward.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. Looks like some exciting times.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
And I guess we'll just finish up with, do you have any message for potential investors in Tocvan?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that, we formed this company based on the idea of catching a downturn in the gold market. I think we've done exactly that. We were able to acquire some excellent projects in a great jurisdiction and provide a lot of value for our initial shareholders. And I don't think we're done here. I think there's still a lot of potential in both of these projects. We've assembled an excellent team. And I think the sentiment towards gold is really about to shift for the better here. There's a lot of uncertainty out there in the markets. But as that starts to settle out, I think a lot of investors will start turning towards the precious metals. And we think we're in an excellent position given where we are, our track record with drilling. And, we think Sonora is definitely the place to be building mines. So we think we got a bright future. And if you're interested in getting the space, we think we provide good coverage for that.
Well, that sounds real good, Brodie. Thank you for your time, and thank you for giving us insights on the project, on Tocvan, and we'll look forward to see how things go going down the road.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, Doug. Really appreciate it.